Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining #NoLimits. #NoLimits is about people who society places limits upon, but who have busted through those limits. Ophelia says in Hamlet, "We know who we are, but not what we will be." And I believe that to be 100% true, and that there is no better example of that than the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. And right now is a beautiful time in my area because the monarchs are migrating. And so I'm getting to see 10, 20, 30 monarchs a day flying past my house. And so I just keep being reminded about #NoLimits. For those who don't know, the caterpillar literally dissolves into cells and then reforms into the butterfly. And if that's not difficult enough, then it has to fight in order for its wings to be strong enough to fly. So it has to struggle to get out of that cocoon. While none of that can be easy, neither is busting through those limits that society places upon us. But if we have support, like a cocoon for the butterfly, we can become this beautiful butterfly and strive to higher heights than anyone ever thought possible. And today, I am privileged to introduce to you Deedra Scherm. She is making a nationwide movement. She's starting in one state, but eventually it's going to be nationwide. I'm just claiming it right now that it's eventually next year at this time, it'll be a national day. So, Deedra, what am I talking about? And welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shelly. And I'm happy to be here. And you are talking about, guess what? It is national and it's almost international Dysgraphia Awareness Day.
Yay! That's awesome.
Yeah, we just announced that last week that we are now a part of the National Calendar Archive, keyword national. And so October 3rd is now recognized as Dysgraphia Awareness Day. And for Dysgraphia Awareness Day, we're having some people join from around the world. So I kind of like to secretly think we're already at International Dysgraphia Awareness.
There you go. Absolutely. For sure. Well, that's so exciting. Congratulations. Because when we talked about you coming on, you were working to that. So that's amazing. So I just want to pull up really quickly. I need to press the right buttons first. The national, or not the national, well, it's national now. The Dysgraphia Awareness Day, blah, blah. I can't talk today. And just to show a little bit about that. And so there it says, we've picked a day, October 3rd, for Dysgraphia Awareness Day. So why is that necessary? Why do we have to have Dysgraphia Awareness Day? What is dysgraphia?
Well, that's a lot in one question. I would say, when you bring this up and I look at that, what you're looking at is a picture that was made by a mom who was tired of fighting so hard for something for her kid that no one seemed to really understand or know about. And I think for people who are watching and listening, parents who have children who have struggles, and as they're fighting for their kids, they understand that feeling of, man, I'm just doing everything I can and I can't seem to feel like I get enough support. And you get to that place, and I was at that place where I said, we've been struggling with this. I was talking with my husband. I said, I've been struggling with this for our son for so long. And when we first were diagnosed with dysgraphia, which, by the way, you asked, is a neurological brain disorder that affects the ability to write. And that's a very short definition of what it is. But it also affects so many things beyond that, which can really affect a child, including their emotional stability and support and feelings that can affect that as well. But that's where I was. I was talking with my husband when my son was first diagnosed. He was also diagnosed with dyslexia. And as I'm sitting there in the IEP meeting with the group of people that were there, including the principal and the assistant principal and the diagnostician and others, they said, we have something to a program that will help with dyslexia, but we don't have any protocol for dysgraphia. And I went, well, what does that mean? What do we do? And that
Right.
began the journey of looking into it. And then, a year ago, before all of this started with Dysgraphia Awareness Day, I was sitting with my husband and looking at this journey and just thinking, so many parents, we cried so many tears. I cried so many tears. There are parents who are coming into this new for the first time. And even though we've made progress, it's still not easy. People are still struggling. If I could just tell them what I know now from what I've learned, it would be easier for them. And I was in tears, and he looked at me and said, well, then tell them.
Said, so simple. I mean,
okay. Yeah. Okay. And so then I thought, what can I do? What can I do to tell parents so that we can get more help? And then as I started working on that, I realized we can't get more help if people don't know what it is. I can stand there with all the resources, in front of me and in front of educators or people and say, this is what it is. But if they have no concept of what dysgraphia is, or, even for some people, even that it's actually a real thing, then we can't get anywhere. So that was my first thing that I ever made. And, about a year ago, that was, what do we do? Well, first thing you do for Dysgraphia Awareness Day is you pick a day.
You pick a day. Exactly. You can't have a day without the date.
So that's how it started. And that's how it came to be.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. And congratulations again for doing that. And as your husband said, I mean, he makes it sound like it's so simple, but it's not. But yeah, so that's very exciting. And I want to welcome Lang Shi to the podcast today. And I will put up your comment in just a few minutes. So I do want you to realize that I do see it. So the dysgraphia, and you did give a very succinct definition of it. If you would elaborate more about how it does affect all those different areas, and has your school, so I'm asking you two parts again, has your school come up with or found some resources to help those kids in their district with dysgraphia?
Yes. Well, and I'll preface this with, I am not an expert. I am not trained. I am not a counselor. I have no medical degrees. I am a mother. So I can tell you how it has affected my child. And I can tell you what I've heard from other people as I'm hearing from experts and working with people on Dysgraphia Awareness Day. For me and for my son, and I will use the name Nathan. Nathan, we started seeing after we did kindergarten twice that even at that early age, it was hard to get it. It was hard to get it. So, the letters, we would go over it and over and over it. And then as we moved into first grade, nothing was improving. It was just, it looked like, and I'm just going to be very frank with how we are. And he has given me permission to talk. He's in 7th grade now. He's given me permission to talk freely. In fact, he said I could say his name, but I'm doing Nathan instead as a mother. But he's like, no, Mom, you can tell him. But
they don't care. They don't understand how big that could get.
Yeah. So his writing just didn't improve even after two years of kindergarten. And then we got into first grade and it still wasn't improving. And then they started small spelling words like at and the, and it was just always, you couldn't read it. And it really looked like a preschooler who was pretending to write. And people would say, oh, my kid's writing isn't great either. It's messy. And then I would show them and they would go, oh. I mean, he's young, But what really hit me was when, it was towards the end of first grade and we're walking down the hall of the school for open house. And you have all of those posters on the wall of the about me from all the kids. And I was walking down and looking and I'm reading about Susie and Johnny and I get to Nathan's and I go, oh, you couldn't even read it. And I knew his answer, so I should have been able to figure it out. But it was obvious that there was a problem. And so we started, and that's, like I said, we were diagnosed with dyslexia and dysgraphia, but there wasn't really protocol. So that began my journey and my search. Now, how does it affect, you asked, how does it affect beyond the writing? There's a lot of emotional trauma that can come with that diagnosis for kids. And of course, a lot of it can depend on their personality. If you have a child who it just kind of is like, oh, I don't mind what happens. I don't care what people think about me. There are kids that are like that, and they're not going to struggle in certain areas as much as others. If you have a child who is sensitive to what others think about or feels kind of responses to what they create, it can be extremely difficult on their mind and their heart and their little spirits as they're working through this thing. Lots of things can happen. You can struggle in school when you're getting pulled out for things and then having to go back and catch up. You can struggle. It is a neurological brain disorder. And so it's not something that just goes away if you keep practicing. And so that struggle of each time having to come and the struggle of every word getting out, it makes it extremely difficult for many of them to get the words from their brain to the paper. And so for like Nathan and many other students who are very creative and very communicative and really have a story to tell, it all gets short-circuited and it looks like on paper that they're lacking intelligence or creativity. And many times that's not the case. So then you have to deal with people who will think often that you are not trying hard enough and that you might be lazy or even defiant, because it can be a physically painful act and needing to stop. I remember one time my child got in trouble by the teacher, is how he felt and described it, was that he was trying so hard to write and trying to explain, I need to do it a different way. And she said, no, keep going. I saw you write before. This shouldn't be trouble for you. And he was stopping to rub his hand out and take a break because it was so painful. And she said, you haven't been writing that long. You need to keep going. And just that lack of understanding. I mean, if we as adults were treated that way when we were struggling with something, we can imagine how we would feel, much less a child. So there are so many aspects of what can be affected from dysgraphia. It's not just messy handwriting.
Yeah. And I wanted to bring that out because the social emotional stuff, and I'm a teacher by trade, and I taught for many years full time, and now I go in as a sub. And I will tell you, when I taught full time, I had trained myself because it was every day that I was interacting with kids who learned differently. And so regarding behaviors, regarding how I said things, and regarding, the way I instructed or I brought something to someone's attention was very different than it is now that I'm a sub. And I find myself falling back into those knee-jerk reactions, which are those kinds of statements that you're talking about were made. It's not, I don't think that people are malicious on purpose.
No.
But it comes out that way, that they're malicious and they're uncaring, which is not the case. But it's a matter of bringing that awareness. Right. And I'm honestly, I'm appalled at myself sometimes because something will fly out of my mouth and I'll think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just went back to that. Mm-hmm. And so it does take training for the adults too. How do we speak? How do we become aware of what we're talking about and what we're saying? And, if we do say something that we think, oh heavens, that should not have come out that way, that we go and apologize and we try to change our wording and try to do things better, because that social emotional aspect is in every subject.
It's huge.
In every grade level. And I'm really happy to hear that Nathan is still very aware of his situation, and B, that even as a seventh grader, he hasn't felt ostracized because of being different in the way that he can present his information. And he's at that age that I know that awareness usually can kick in, and kids start to be like, I don't want to be different.
Right.
I just want to blend in. I don't want to be pulled out. I don't want this to look different. And so I'm really pleased to hear that he is like, hey, this is who I am. I'm not ashamed. So what?
Right. Well, I want everyone to know that I have not been perfect. This has been a journey for me, and Nathan's not perfect. We may start dealing with some of that. I don't want to be different. This is a journey. And through this journey of recognizing how I have made mistakes myself, makes it a lot easier for me to have grace with educators and other people who don't get it because they don't know. The number of teachers that I think are, like you said, malicious in their response, I think are just, they didn't go into teaching so that they could be malicious to children. They wanted to help children. But that's like what you said, awareness is such an important part because they don't know if they're not aware. And that's what it drove me to go towards awareness first, is because we couldn't get anywhere until people were aware. And so I am happy to talk to parents and to teachers. I was just on my phone a minute ago because I made a post, a little worksheet to send out to that people could take and send out to teachers or educators or anyone they wanted to, that with awareness and facts and things about dysgraphia, and that it doesn't have a cure. And that I just got a response back from a mother, and she said, I do not like the fact that you are saying that this is a disability that has no cure, because this language should stop, because our kids are just getting put in a side classroom. And, your first response is like, don't come at me, Right. But I don't have that feeling at all, because I'm like, oh, I get it. Like, I agree with you, but I think we're on the same page, is that what we're talking about, I don't want to dismiss someone who has dysgraphia and has found ways to take care of themselves in that, because I don't want to dismiss their struggle and their diligence and their persistence to continue and move forward, and say that it's cured. I want to recognize how hard it is and how hard people are working to be successful in this. But that feeling of when people are coming at you, whether it's a teacher or someone else, about your child's learning disability, that we can go back and say, let's work together. Let's work together. I did it wrong sometimes. I know you're going to misstep, because I'm all in, and I still am making mistakes these days. I'm still learning. And so, that's a great, it's a great thing for you to say, for teachers, especially, that if they do make a mistake, man, does it help Nathan so much if someone comes to him and goes, you know what? I missed that. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have gotten onto that. You probably needed a break there. Next time, let's do this. And then they feel supported that way. Even when we make mistakes, if we acknowledge it and say, let's create a plan, that still in the end can be such a positive thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So Langshi, I want to get your question out here, and I don't know that we'll be able to answer it. Any ideas for grown adults that are dyslexic, dysgraphic, who were never formally diagnosed in childhood? Things were different 30 years ago. The lack of formal diagnosis becomes a barrier in later years, i.e. accommodations in college for test taking requires documentation of the issue, but the documentation doesn't exist. How does an adult access diagnostics? Do you have any answers?
Well, again, I'm not an expert. I'm a mom.
Right.
Still going on the This is what I'll say. I did just talk to someone this morning, Sherry Dotterer, and she has a book that's called Handwriting the Brain-Body Disconnect. And she works with adults now as well. She's not exclusively it. So all that to say that, yes, there is help for adults. There is recognition that this is, of all ages. We just didn't have a lot of diagnosis before. In fact, Shelley, when I started the awareness, I've already had two. I know, I'm sure there's more, but I've already had two people who are over the age of 80 that have contacted me and said, that's what it is. I just never had the name for it. And now I know that that's what I have. And one was over 80 and another one I think was almost 92. So,
oh my gosh.
So, yes, Lang, I understand that we don't have that. Now, I will say that I have heard from people that you mentioned a college environment, and I don't know if you're in college or not, but I have heard from people who have that are in college that you can go to the academic support group at the college. If you contact, there's usually a contact, and at the very least, contact the school nurse, and they can direct you to which department it is, an educational support department. And if you can talk to them and explain your situation and explain that this is what you think it is now and work with them, a lot of colleges now are really recognizing the disabilities that are coming in. A lot of homeschool students that come in aren't formally diagnosed and are getting support from colleges in that way, even without an official thing. So, my advice to you, if I had to give advice, was know that there are people who are working with adults, and be bold. Be bold in your situation. Thankfully, these days, people are starting to have more of a heart and more of an understanding that we need to be more inclusive. So whether it's your boss, a work scenario, or a college or education scenario that you're in, be bold. Go forward and say, this is what I'm struggling with. This is what I think it might be. I've not had a formal diagnosis, but what can I do with that? And hopefully people will help. That's what I did. I've been walking in being very bold in all sorts of ways. And, and now we're looking at Dysgraphia Awareness Day being a national thing. And I'm not any special individual that had any connections at all. So, Lang, I don't know if that completely answers your question, but I hope it helps.
Yeah. And Sherry is also a friend of both of ours. And actually, she's who connected us. Yes. And so I have put her website link down at the bottom, and it's also in the chat. So, Lang, if you didn't catch it, what Deedra said is it's Sherry Dotterer, and she's amazing. She's developing her own program for helping people with dysgraphia. She is the author of that book, as she mentioned, and she does have great resources. So what I would also say is I can speak to the legal part of the disabilities at the college level, and that every university, every college across the country is supposed to have a disabilities office. Yes. And so have this person, because Lang is saying, thank you, this adult is a family member. He is in JUCO, and they said he needed a form signed by a doctor to formally have the supports. So I'm guessing JUCO is junior college, but there's no old diagnosis or testing to support it. It feels like a circle, but I'll check that out. So yeah, every college is supposed to have a disabilities office, and you can look at it under the Americans with Disabilities Act or Section 504. What I do that way with the IEP, right? I know. Are you
over here or over here? I think you're
right. I know. Exactly. So what I do with IEPs, which are individualized education programs, those are more for the K-12 settings, but accommodations and modifications can be given under, like I said, the Americans with Disabilities Act or the Section 504 Rehabilitation Act. Both of those cover the universities. And I keep saying universities, but I do believe it's any college, junior college, four-year college, or university should be covered under that. But exactly what Deedra said, go to them and say, I have these things, and not that they're going to change instruction, but they would should be providing accommodations and modifications for that sort of thing. So thank you.
And like I said, I'm not an expert, but as a mom, what I would do is if they told me I needed a doctor's note, I'd go to my doctor and I'd say, look, here's this. Look at this. Look at these descriptions. Let me show you this funny woman, Deedra Scherm, who's doing this TikTok or reel on Facebook, old lady reel on Facebook about all of these things that are related to dysgraphia. And that's what I have. I know that's what I have, but I haven't been diagnosed and I need a note. I need the note for the college. Be bold. Go. That's what I would do. Right. I would go in there and say those things. And if they need that note, and that's where you're stuck, go to the doctor and tell them and see if you can get that note. But that's my mom. That's Mom Deedra speaking. That's what I do. So I am not an expert. I'm not a lawyer.
Right. Yep. No, neither am I.
Don't send me any complaint notices. I'm just telling you what I would do as a mom.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting about dysgraphia because dyslexia, pretty much anybody you talk to, they can give you a pretty general idea of what dyslexia is.
Yep.
But you throw dysgraphia or dyscalculia out there and they're like, I don't know, is that a thing? Yeah. It's not a new thing, but there has been more research and there has been more attention in the last, dozen years? Decade?
Barely.
Something?
Barely a dozen. Like I said, it was, my son is in 7th grade right now. And it was when he was in 1st grade or right before 1st grade that he was diagnosed. And they said, so, I mean, that's only like, and I will say I'm in a lovely school district with lovely people. And we didn't have a lot just even 6-7 years ago. So I know we've been moving our way and now they have more to offer. But even at that time, it was like, we don't really have a protocol for this. And they were very kind about it and then tried to do whatever they could to be accommodating. But yeah, it's a recent emerging, becoming more in the language. And that's part of, my continuing awareness trek is like, how can we're having Dysgraphia Awareness Day on October 3rd. And I have 17 wonderful speakers that will be speaking. And I'll have that as a live video up on our Facebook page. But after that, I'm going to continue to work on getting dysgraphia into our vernacular to get it in the speak of the world more. So I'm excited about that. But that's been a big journey and a big trek and a big push that is just starting to happen. So,
do you happen to know any statistics on dysgraphia as far as how many students or how many adults are affected with dysgraphia?
Well, we can go back to our friend Sherry. Like I said, I was just talking to her, and Sherry's not someone that I've been friends with long. She contacted me once she saw some of the work I was doing for awareness. And I was like, well, goodness, I need to have you speak on Awareness Day. And so it's a very new relationship, but we were just talking right before this podcast. And I want to say, I wish I would have written down the number. It was like 30% of people struggle with their writing. And she'll talk more about that on October 3rd. But I'm so bad at saying the wrong numbers. It was like a 10 million or 100 million. We were talking millions of people who struggle with writing and potentially dysgraphia. So, I mean, we're in the millions of people. Now the reason why it's so hard to give you a number is because it's so difficult to get people to do the testing to get numbers. If you go to the NIH and you can search through and just try to find like some sentence somewhere in some report. And that's one of the problems is that we don't have enough research into it that we can even have a definitive percent of how many school children are dealing with this. Now, the last article that I found was like 17 to 15%. And some medical student even messaged me and said, where did you get that number? Because I've been searching for numbers and I can't find that. And I sent him the article that, of research that I had, but it's difficult to give you an actual number. But according to Sherry and some other research, it's in the millions that we're dealing with. It's a lot. And, I really hope that more research is going to give us a clearer picture of that.
Yeah. And I think that's, a reason that it's becoming more known is because there are so many people that in the past were just labeled with a specific learning disability, maybe and that's what they were found eligible to receive special education services for. But it isn't just, I think in the past, people thought it was just sloppy handwriting. Mm-hmm. And that sloppy handwriting could be corrected, and as long as it was legible, mm-hmm. a lot, and I still see this. I see these in IEPs because that's what I do. I'll figure out where it is in a minute.
You are the expert.
Right. And I see that. Well, their handwriting is legible, so we're going to drop OT services. And I'm like, no, legible is not the goal.
We say that all the time. It's not just messy writing. It's more than messy writing.
Yeah. So I think that awareness is starting to finally happen. And unfortunately, the wheels of education move slower than a snail in molasses. Yes. And it takes a very long time to really get momentum. And like I said, that's why I think that, the word dysgraphia has been in my special education world for probably 10 to 12 years. But as far as really starting to make awareness for other people outside of the world of special education or occupational therapy, that's just probably been more in the last 3 to 5 years. Yeah. And so it's this continued, and it is stuff like this. And I have put your link to your Facebook group up on the screen here, but I am going to add it into the chat as well, so that people can find you there. And I do want to do a screen share of that so we can talk a little bit about some of the things that are on your page.
Oh, I love that you're so good at technology.
Well, don't get too excited. I'm not really sure I'm doing the right thing. So
I'm learning all of this. But I guess that's encouragement to say that if you get called to do something, like just step out and do it, because I didn't have connections in this area. I didn't, I'm not an expert. I'm not a campaigner. So this is all new to me, but let's see what we see. I hope it looks okay today.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what today brings. So first of all, I just have to point out, and I love that it's am I right? And that's the handwriting right, not the correct right.
It's funny. Someone got mad at me about that and said that I shouldn't have done that. And I said, well, I had to explain. I'm just trying to, they didn't get my joke. I said, I'm just trying to be clever. So thank you for liking that part.
Yeah. So it is a group to join, mm-hmm. and I have not done so I'm sorry. I just,
that's okay. I know you will. I know you will.
Yes, I will. Absolutely. And so, you've got, so tell us what kinds of things that you talk about, in the group. And it looks like there's a little video there that I could pop up if you want me to. Yes. But yeah, just kind of tell what they would find if they were a part of it.
If you want to click on that, you can click on that video. That scrolls through. Those are all the speakers that we have for Dysgraphia Awareness Day, which I'm super excited about.
Were you able to hear it for just that second when I turned?
Yeah, it's just a little bit of music. You don't have to have it.
Okay.
Okay.
But
you can see that they're scrolling through some wonderful.
I'm getting ready to start again. I may have
that are going to be speaking from different areas. Hey, there we are.
Hey, there we
go. A lot of great speakers from different areas with different backgrounds in their training and their education and their experience. And so really what you'll find there on that Facebook page, or it's a Facebook group actually.
Right.
Is
do you want me to show this again, or did it
push for awareness? No, it's kind of cycled all the way through. I mean,
okay. I wasn't sure how much of it showed up while
you got most of it.
Okay.
But if you'll scroll down a little bit too, you can see, let's see what else is popping out. It's not going in order. So that was a hi and welcome to everyone. You're seeing, I love this video. If you want to play this video, you know what? Go ahead and play that video with the sound, because I think it's fab. This is one of my favorite ones. And you may have to like scroll back so you can, you can't. It's just going to play through, but you can.
Well, and the volume is for some reason not working.
That's all right.
I think it might be because is it a reel or I see it's a
real. It's okay. But so many people want to know, what does dysgraphia look like? And so I've given some examples there from people who are part of the group who have sent me pictures of their children's writing that have been diagnosed with dysgraphia. And it was kind of to show that this is what it looks like, but it doesn't define the intelligence or creativity of the child. And you can't hear what it's saying in the back, but it was like, these kids can be great friends. They can be leaders. They can run companies. They can be great artists. They can do all of these things. Don't define them by their handwriting. Don't decide their value based on what you see on a piece of paper. And so that's one of my favorite ones that I like, just because it shows a lot of good things and answers some questions for people.
Yeah, but, fabulous.
You know, a lot of people, there
it is.
Yes, we were recognized by the, my glasses are not reading.
National Day Archives is what it says.
National Day Archives, the proclamation that nationally October 3rd is now recognized as Dysgraphia Awareness Day. And so that was really huge when that happened. And it just started with me and people joining this Facebook group. So it's been very, very exciting. But yeah, this website, I do a lot of things to bring awareness. Now, I'll tell you what I'm not doing on this website or this Facebook group. I am not giving answers to what therapy you should go to do, or, it's kind of like the question Lang asked. I can't tell you what accommodations are available for you at that college. But what I can do is say, colleges have this, go do it. Take this with you. Let them know dysgraphia is where and that you need accommodation. So it's a real push for awareness, not so much answering the questions of what you need done, but giving you some information about dysgraphia and where we can find the answers and how we can help other people become more aware, so that then we can get more help and more support, more accommodations.
Yeah. And I'm going to take them to really quick to the actual website. Turn Right Around.
Turnrightaround.com.
Yep.
And right with WRITE.
Yep. And the first thing I'm going to pop up is the graphic for Dysgraphia Awareness Day. But here is the website right here. Turn Right Around. And I'm going to have to go bigger now because I won't be able to see much else. So here you have a tab called What is Dysgraphia? Mm-hmm. And it kind of goes through a more detailed explanation than what either of us gave here today. Mm-hmm. And then here's your Dysgraphia Awareness Day.
Yes.
And some of the events and things. You've got individual slides of each person.
Yes. So there's some people on there. You can see who's speaking there. That's not all of them. That's just a couple.
Yeah.
But it also has the link to the Facebook group on there. You don't have to sign up for Dysgraphia Awareness Day. You don't have to put in your email. You can just show up and see the video that will be playing live, the live, I don't know what that one stream that you have there that you will be able to see interviews with all of these people, and we'll talk a little bit about things, but it's really a time. If you are someone who has a child who is struggling with dysgraphia and you're not feeling great support from your community or your educational system, it'll be great to watch this to get ideas where you can go to get some help. and support. And also if there's something on there that you're like, oh, I know, this is what I was talking about. This is what I'm struggling with. This is what my child is struggling with. You take that little clip and you send it to someone who needs to hear, to get yourself some more support. And that's kind of my big thing, is that the more that we can support kids, the more that we can say, that educators can say, oh, this is hard for you and you're trying your best. I believe you. That can do so much for our kids and help them on their journey to be successful, rather than to be, depressed, hurt, discouraged, that kind of thing. So there are some t-shirts. I learned how to click on a site and put in some stuff. And so that if you want a t-shirt, you can get one. Putting this together is a little beyond my budget that I have as a mom right now. But, that's my favorite one, is that bag right there.
This one?
Yes. I really like that bag because it's Dysgraphia is more than messy writing. That's one of my favorite.
I mean, that sums it up.
I was like, well, I'll put it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll put it on a bag.
That really does.
And I have a shirt. I'm not wearing it right now, but there's a shirt on there that says, ask me about dysgraphia.
Oh, yeah. I think that was the next one in the.
Yeah. And I will tell you, when I have worn that, people have said to me, I hear this, and I know, and you already kind of alluded to it. People have said to me, well, I know what dyslexia is. I know what dyslexia is. What's dysgraph?
Right.
It's such an open door to be able to say something about it. So that's kind of fun. So that's just, that's there. There it is. Yeah. That's the one.
Yeah. So we did have a question here from Tamara. Yes. Do you have awareness posters? And can those outside of, because you're in Texas.
Yes.
So can those outside of Texas, how can we help?
I don't. Yeah. And again, it's national. And in fact, two of the people that are speaking on Dysgraphia Awareness Day, one is from Canada and one is from England. And so I think I don't know if that makes us technically international.
I think it does.
But I'm really excited about it. There is on the Facebook group, I did post, let's see, I could probably, so that you don't have to pull it up. There is a little flyer that I made that you can print out. Let's see. I don't know if you can see this, but it looks kind of like that.
Okay.
Can you see that? And it's on there. And
I may hold that up again, and I'll see if I can make you bigger so that is.
Oh, let's see.
There we go. That looks a lot better.
Yes. So that's what it looks like. That is on the Facebook group page, and you can print that out and you can give that to whoever you want to. That was kind of something I just tried to make because someone said, do we have something we can give out? I don't have any posters, but I mean, I guess you could blow it up poster size, but maybe that's something, Tamara, maybe that's something I'll make. I will work on that just for you, a poster. But in the meantime, if you want to go on the Facebook group, you can grab that little flyer that I made that could get printed out and would at least be something that you could stick on the wall or give to anyone that you wanted to know a little more. I just put a few little tidbits on there about dysgraphia, which of course doesn't cover everything, but it's at least helps gain some knowledge or some understanding or begin to ask questions. So thanks for asking.
Yeah, and Tamara, go to the Facebook group, and it is listed. I don't know if it shows up while we're live, but I have put it in the chat. So you should be able to just click on it in the chat link and find it there. But I also would like for you to tell me what these letters stand for. I'm guessing maybe special education parent something association. I don't know. I don't know what CPAC stands for, because again, and that's the world of education, but it's also truly any industry. Everybody has their own letters that they use to describe different things. So just to be more specific. And then she says, should the state LDs provide such posters? I know they provide posters for dyslexia.
Yes, we should. I know. I'll put that, you know what? I'm going to write this down right now. I'm going to write this down.
That's an excellent suggestion, Tamara.
A poster. That's gonna be on my list. My goal was to get through October 3rd with our speakers and begin that. And then after that, I haven't really told anyone this, but here we go. I'm really going to start working on getting the word dysgraphia into, our language. We really need to hear it more often. And I'll talk more about that on Dysgraphia Awareness Day, but I think
a little sneak peek. Yay! Like I love it when that happens on my show.
We're live right now. But there are going to be some good announcements on October 3rd too of some exciting things that have been happening. But it doesn't end October 3rd. This is just the first annual Dysgraphia Awareness Day. And I'm hoping that by next year for our second annual, we're going to look back and see all of these ways that we've gotten dysgraphia into the language of our communities around the world. And I can't do it without everyone's help. Like it's just me. I don't have a team of people. I'm out. I'm actually out in the office shed, and it's hot. I'm starting to sweat because our air conditioning broke here in Texas, which is not a good thing, and flooded the house, and all the floors are pulled up, and the internet is all disconnected out there. So just so you know, this is just me. And when I say I can't do it without everybody, I really mean it. So Tamara, I see your name. I'm going to be looking for you. I need you. I need you to join us and help me this next year, even not just on Dysgraphia Awareness Day, but we need to get the word out. And I have some very specific fun ways that I want to be able to do that. And I hope that you will join. But there was a question she asked first. She said,
so she had said, where can they find the flyer? And then, here's her next question. We'd like to make local families aware of dysgraphia with the help of the local library. Do you have any suggestions? So I have a suggestion, if it's okay if I throw mine out before yours. I'll give you a chance to take a breath. So something like if I'm in your area, which I kind of think I am, Tamara, but I'm not sure. Like we could put something together. The difficult thing now is that October 3rd is Monday. So, it's like literally just a few days away. Okay. No, she's not. I don't know why I thought you were near me. That's now my abbreviation. She's in Maine. Right? Massachusetts is MS. My social studies teachers are going, can't believe you don't know. But I would just start like even on your own Facebook page, just start putting stuff out there. And then if it's Massachusetts, okay. Maine is ME, I think. I don't know. See, this is so bad. I don't do well under pressure.
Broadcasting live might not be your best thing then. You're doing great. I'm very impressed with what you're doing.
Oh, well, thank you. And I did used to know all of my state things really well, but over the years it's one of those things. I don't use them. I've forgotten them. But so Tamara, that would be my suggestion is go to her Facebook page, or if it's a group, I don't think she can do this. I don't think she can share from a group.
Yes,
but
you can.
You can? Okay.
Yeah, it's a public group.
Oh, perfect. So then just share her flyers and just keep sharing it. And share it to other pages that about, whether that's your local library page or whether that's, families that that are, I know I'm involved in several special education teacher groups and special education family groups or disability awareness groups, any of those kind of groups, share it as much as possible. And there you go. Put it in she says they have a Facebook parent support group. Put it in there and then ask them to share on their own personal pages. And, just for this year, I don't know how much more you would be able to do at this point because it's so close. But I think, those are my suggestions. So Deedra, what do you have other things to do as well?
Yeah. Here's what I think, Tamara, is that if you make one person more aware of what dysgraphia is, then you've done well. Like that's the goal is the whole point, is the goal of that. So, sometimes our kids don't want to be named, and they don't want you going around saying, this is what my kid has. But if you're ever in a scenario where you can say the word dysgraphia and someone says, as they always do, well, I know what dyslexia is, but what's dysgraphia? And you are able to say, well, dysgraphia is, it's a neurological brain thing that makes it hard for kids to write and get their thoughts on paper. If you can just do that, that's a success in my book. That is a success right there. But as far as for the Dysgraphia Awareness Day, joining the Facebook, sharing anything on the Facebook, any of the funny reels. I've made a fool of myself multiple times there, or any of the banners or the flyers. Anything that you say the word dysgraphia or share that with anyone is really what awareness is all about right now. So thank you for asking, and thank you for commenting and wanting to be a part. That it really means the world to me.
Yeah. And she explained what a CPAC, it's a Special Education Parent Advisory Council. So that was her, I think, original question was, how can they celebrate Dysgraphia Awareness Day or month?
Yeah, you can watch the video, come watch the live, watch those speakers. There's a lot of them, so you probably won't going to be able to sit down, but get a chance to go through, share it with other people. And probably for, the next days and weeks that are coming forward is you get the opportunity to share when people have questions. That's the best thing. That's really one of the best things that we can. And love our kids. Love our kids that have dysgraphia as we do. Show more grace, more kindness. Give teachers a break who are trying to learn. Support the ones that are really trying. And, this is not something that should be shameful. This is something that's just a piece of our kids in their learning journey. And the more that we can just talk about it instead of hiding in the corners, being worried that, what everyone's going to think about us or our parenting skills of how our child can't write. Let's get out of that and say, this is just a learning difference that my child has. And I'm here as a mom to support them however they need to be supported. And there's no shame involved with that. In fact, that's something that should be really celebrated.
Absolutely. So this is a good question, and I don't know the answer to this. Maybe you do. Is October specific Learning Disability Awareness Month?
Yes, it is. And that is why I chose October, was because it kind of coincided with that awareness month. And I picked you want to hear the arbitrary ways that this happened. I picked October 3rd because it was early in the month and it was on a Monday. A lot of people do this like fourth Thursday of the month or whatever, or the second Tuesday of the month. I wanted a day so that we could always just say October 3rd, October 3rd, October 3rd. You'd always know when it is. And I wanted to start on a Monday because I wanted to have this year, the next year, and then the leap year. And then we'd have a Saturday. And like my secret hope long-term is like, there's going to be like, we're going to get together on that first Saturday.
Yes.
the Awareness Day and do something wonderful. So, that's how it became October 3rd, the day. But there isn't a Dysgraphia Awareness Month, but it is Special Learning Disorders Month.
Okay. Perfect. Tamara, I have it up on the screen right now. You asked for her Facebook page link. And I guess maybe it's not showing while we're live that I've put it in the chat. So it will be there in just a couple of minutes. When we end the live, it should appear. If it doesn't, reach out to me, or you could just do what I did earlier, which was go to Facebook and type in Dysgraphia and do a search. And there was 2 or 3 different sites that came up, but the one that says "Am I Right?" WRITE is the right one. The correct one.
It says we need a Dysgraphia Awareness Day. Am I right? See, I wasn't even like very savvy with my name either. They're like, find something short and quick, and I'm like, no, we're just gonna drag it all out.
That's right. No, that's right. And from other things that I've learned, as much information as you can get in a title, like within a certain number of characters, the better off you are, because then people know exactly what the kind of group is that they're getting
That's what we
into.
are. Awareness Day. Thank you, Tamara. Thank you for Happy Awareness Day, Dysgraphia Awareness Day. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to seeing you.
So on that day, so you've talked about the videos, and we just have a couple more minutes. So I want to really focus in on Dysgraphia Awareness Day.
Yes.
The videos are going to be from what time to what time? And then is it just going to live there? Like people can go watch them in replays?
That is my hope, if all the technology works as it should. So, yes. So it's October 3rd, 10/3. So we're going from 10 a.m. till 3 p.m., which I didn't realize was such a big chunk that I bit off, but it is really exciting though. So we'll have probably about 4 speakers or so an hour and a few mom testimonies, but it will just be, it's really like, a seminar that you're going to that will have speaker all the way through from 10 to about 3. And you should be able to comment, and the speakers are going to try to comment back to you, you know, of course, depending on technology working and their availability to be able to do that. But even if they can't do it at the moment that they are speaking, they are going to come back and try to answer any questions that you have. We'll be putting links to some of the things that we talk about in the comments as well. And if all goes well, we should get to the end, and then it's supposed to repost back afterwards, where it would be able to stay. People can watch and scroll through and see some of the questions and things. Let's pretend it doesn't work really well and it doesn't repost. I'm also recording and have a recording. And so I'll go back and then work it so that I can get that back up. It just wouldn't be in the live format. So that's my hope. I hope next year that when we do something like this, that there's going to be some person that's like, I am so good at this and I'm going to help you with that. But so come watch for what you can, leave your questions and come back afterwards and take a look if you couldn't join us during the live presentation.
That is very exciting. And I just think this is awesome that I get to learn about it. I get to share about it. And I've gotten an opportunity to talk with you today and to share your story, your son's story, and this journey that you're on, because awareness is such a huge thing. And it falls right into #NoLimits, because for years there have been those limits on people who have had sloppy handwriting. And well, it's just sloppy handwriting. You know, there's not a lot we can do about it. Some kids are just always going to have sloppy handwriting. They'll grow up and be doctors. You know, I mean, and so changing that perspective, that's my dream for #NoLimits, is that it changes people's perspective. It brings awareness. And that's kind of the same thing. Awareness and perspective change typically go hand in hand, not always. But once you become aware of something, it's hard for your perspective not to change.
Right.
Even if you don't do it intentionally. So, and
I appreciate you so much. First, from a technical standpoint of being able to do all of this, I'm in awe. But your heart for No Limits, and just the fact that, you know, you started out talking about this emerging butterfly, and that the journey includes struggle, but it shouldn't stop us. We shouldn't give up, and we shouldn't judge others who are going through that struggle to become all that God created them to be. And so I'm just so grateful for what you're doing and for supporting me in this journey for Dysgraphia awareness. So thank you for having me here today.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure. So tune in next week. I'm actually having another person from Texas next week, Jenny Keese, and she, I thought I had the name of her. It's something Connection is the name of her group. And they actually had a documentary about her organization. So I was like, oh, I didn't realize I was having 2 people from like the northern Texas area on back to back, but that's okay. You guys are doing great things down there, so it needs to be shared.
We're trying.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Lee. Sorry, I got your name. Lang. Sorry. I was getting your first and your last name combined there. Lang Shi, thank you for joining us. And anyone else who joined and didn't comment, very much appreciate it. If you're watching in the replay and you have questions, please pop them in. If you have comments, if for some reason the links don't show up to the Facebook group, for Deedra's Facebook group, let me know, and I will be sure to get that in there for you. I appreciate you. Happy Dysgraphia Awareness Day next Monday.
Thank you so much.
We will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, parents and teachers, are you tired of IEP meetings that feel like a battle? Let's put an end to the tension and create a collaborative, calm, and respectful environment together. Shelley Keno, your go-to IEP consultant, can transform your meetings into positive and productive experiences. With Shelley Keno, your child is her top priority, your voice is heard, and you become confident. Shelley Keno is making the world better for all, one IEP at a time. Visit www.shelleykeno.com for more information and set up your free 20-minute consultation today. That's shelleykeno.com, SHELLEYKENOW.